Stream at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like in
And
college,
I
or-
inhale. I did
You
inhale.
On AM 560.
I think that it gives a lot of people joy, and we need more joy.
You need more joy in this
The
world.
Answer.
Well.
Look who we have here.
The prodigal capitalist pig returns to me.
Or us. Okay.
But he was with me when I was at WLS. Weekly segments with Jonathan Hoenig. I come over here, and then he was too good for me. That's how it was. Well. 2.6% GDP growth in the fourth quarter, 2.9% GDP growth for the year. That's almost double what the annual GDP growth was just 2 years ago in Obama's last year in office. Does that mean Trump's tax reform was a success? To answer this question, we're pleased to be joined by founding member of the Capitalist Pig Hedge Fund, Fox News contributor, and the author of the book, A New Textbook of Americanism, The Politics of Ayn Rand, Jonathan Hoenig, the Capitalist Pig. Thank you for joining us, Jonathan.
Dan and Amy, great to be with you. Delighted to be with you. And Dan, oftentimes we've talked over the years when the economy was doing terribly. I mean, what a sea change from a decade ago in which all those numbers that you referenced were negative or trending downward. Look, whether you credit the tax cuts, whether you credit what's been really an historic going on now, 10-year recovery, stimulus on up, economic growth from companies, innovation, the economy is doing quite well right now. There's just no way to kind of avoid it, regardless of what you happen to think of who occupies the Oval Office. These are strong times for U.S. stocks and the U.S. economy.
And it's really driven, I mean, even if you don't, particularly you live in a state like Illinois, you're not seeing personally substantial tax relief. That's not what was driving this growth anyway. It's business investment driven by the tax reform and deregulation driven by the Trump administration that are the proximate causes, aren't they?
Well, Dan, I like to think of the economy almost like an aircraft carrier. I don't think necessarily one element like the tariffs, for example, or the tax cuts can change it on a dime. But all those factors that you mentioned, let's look at something as regulatory reform as one example. It might not be so obvious when it comes to esoteric things like fracking or oil or energy or even medicine. But look at something, Dan, as obvious, if you will, as cannabis reform. I mean, all over the country, you've seen cannabis reform. You've seen entire industries prop up, billions and billions of dollars being traded, companies now valued at hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. So wherever there's deregulation, wherever there's capitalism, you see fortunes flourish for the quote-unquote haves and the quote-unquote have-nots. And that's exactly what so many of the regulatory efforts that this White House, and I'll give them great credit for that, have done, have unleashed. Entire industries springing up, whereas once there was none, simply because of that regulation.
Now, I wanted to ask you about a recession. I keep hearing that a recession is coming soon, and if you look at the models and the pie charts, it keeps showing that we're due. Do you sense that that's going to be happening? Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I always say, well, whose recession? Oftentimes, I even go back to the early 2000s. The economy was in the midst of a recession or a slowdown amid the dot-com collapse. There was other industries beginning to bubble up and build. So I think in a free economy, Amy, there's always new jobs being created. That being said, I do see a number of warning signs on the horizon. The most obvious probably being the major drop in the stock market that we saw in December. Now, we recovered quite a bit of that, but that compounded with a rise in interest rates, compounded with the effect of the ongoing trade war. I mean, Amy, this really hasn't gone away. You talk to any Fortune 500 CEO, and they will tell you that now we've been promised that the president's going to end this trade war sooner or later, but meanwhile, it's something on the effect of $100 million a day that U.S. consumers, U.S. companies are paying in tariffs. That's having a demonstrable effect on the economy. So, look, I'm an optimist, Amy, but I do think that you have to, as Warren Buffett would say, be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. So the economy's doing well, but the fact that it is doing so well, I think is a great reason to prepare for a recession now.
Well, here's how we can stave one off. You ready for this, Jonathan? You want to talk about creating a new industry. You want to talk about putting people to work. You want to talk about transforming the economy through innovation. Let's talk about the Green New Deal. $93 trillion worth of economic activity as we transform in the next, 5 or 10 minutes from fossil fuels to solar panels and wind power and switchgrass. That's a job creator.
Oh, Dan, I mean, it's frustrating to see the economics is a miss, and Dan, the morality is a miss as well. Look, fossil fuels power our world, and that's a good thing. They're what's getting you to work this morning, or helping educate your kids, or the fossil fuels improve our lives. The more fossil fuels we've burned over the years, Dan, the better man's life has become. Keep in mind, the real goal of the green movement, the real goal of the Green New Deal is not to help mankind. It's not even to save the environment. It's to hurt mankind. It's to, as you said, make us give up, give up air travel or products and services that we love that improve our lives. So, to the extent that we allow this environmental movement to continue to restrict our ability to use and innovate in the energy sphere, without question, it's a detriment on our economy. And Dan, you see that played out in Europe over the years, where a heavier environmental focus there has been a drag on those companies for quite some time.
But I mean, she had to be joking. We're going to wipe out all of air travel, please, and at high-speed railways.
Oh, she doesn't seem to be joking.
I mean, the goal of the Greens is to hurt man. Is to make it more difficult, more expensive, and the best. Just look at their attitude towards nuclear, for example. I mean, nuclear energy has a very low carbon footprint. Why is the Greens against nuclear energy? Because it works. It works. As Dan said, I mean, they love if you'd say, I power my home all on switchgrass. Of course, it can't light this one small incandescent bulb, but hey, it's all running. They want to hurt mankind, and that's exactly what the Green New Deal is about. Not providing jobs, improving life at all, even improving the environment. Hurting mankind. If we follow the Greens, that's going to be the result.
All right. What about the 21st century Preston Tucker, Tesla's Elon Musk? When will he be imprisoned? Because I would like it to be sooner rather than later.
Prison for tweeting?
No.
Yeah. I mean,
just in general principle.
I don't see him being in prison unless there's something, Dan, that I don't.
Yeah, Dan.
But I tell you, I mean.
Hey, wait a second, John Galt. I mean, what do you have to say about this 21st century Hank Reardon who exists solely off of government subsidy?
Yeah, well, there's no question. I mean, and a lot of those government subsidies, particularly for Tesla, are going away, Dan. That's a positive thing. But look, you can't deny Elon Musk's complete brazenness. I mean, this is a guy who tweaks the SEC while smoking a bone with Joe Rogan on a podcast.
Yeah.
He announced the new car after the bell yesterday. The stock was actually down as a result. But, Dan, this is one of these only in America stories of innovation brought on by speculators and new products, which, he's running heads and tails in terms of innovation against the big, if there is even big three anymore. And that's why Tesla is valued much more than GM, despite the fact that GM makes many, many more cars than Tesla does. This is where the innovation is.
All right, I want to give you a chance to give us the thesis of your new book, a new textbook for Americanism, The Politics of Ayn Rand. I have read most of Ayn Rand's work, and I appreciate some of what she has to say, but I'm not an atheist, so I'm not fully on board with Randianism. But I want you to give us the explanation, the nexus between Americanism and the politics of Ayn Rand.
Sure, Dan. I mean, everyone says that he loves this country, but I believe most people don't even know what it is. I mean, on the left, you have, I am my brother's keeper. We heard that over and over again. But even on the so-called right now, I mean, the right believes that America is about country first. Both are forms of what Rand called collectivism. And America is just the opposite, Dan. America was the only country in the history of the world founded on the principle that your life belongs to you. You wake up every day trying to make your life better. And we talk about, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, like it's an advertising slogan. In America, we take that seriously. It is your life, your liberty, your happiness. So individualism and individual rights, That's the fundamental secret sauce, if you will, of what drives America's politics. But if you notice, it's just completely absent from today's political discussion and all, from those on the left and the right. So a new textbook of Americanism, that's the website, textbookofamericanism.com, makes that point that America is about individual rights, individualism, and your right to own your life, to pursue your happiness, and to achieve it in this free society.
All right. Which Rand book, would you recommend to Amy as an introduction to Rand, as a primer? You give your answer, then I'll give the correct answer. Go ahead.
Well, certainly Amy should check out a new textbook for Americanism.
Whoa.
Oh, see?
Of course.
There you go.
Of course. There it is.
That's my guy.
Always
right
be closing
there.
the capitalist pig. I would say Anthem. But okay, I'll give Jonathan Hoenig his shot. A new textbook of Americanism. The Politics of Ayn Rand is the Capitalist Pig new book. Check it out. Jonathan Hoenig, the Capitalist Pig, founder of the Capitalist Pig hedge fund, Fox News contributor. Jonathan, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Best to you both, guys. Have a great weekend.
Take care.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning